Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter, and welcome to the Daily Check-In for December 9th, 2020. Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about Commvault and Kubernetes? What? What, Commvault and Kubernetes talking together? Well, no, that's weird. Commvault, it's Simpana, it's old stuff, man, it's old. But no, wait, no, you might be wrong. Commvault's doing some interesting things, and how do I know? It's because I attended a presentation as part of Tech Field Day 22, where Commvault talked about all the new and interesting stuff that they've got coming out. So this is my quick take on what they presented today, what stuck out to me, and what you might be interested in. Before we get into that, I just want to promote Tech Field Day 22 in general. If you're watching this on December 9th, that's awesome. You've got 2 more days of Tech Field Day 22 ahead of you that you can watch live streaming. If you go to the link down in the description, you can check it out and watch the live stream. I'm part of what's called the early team, so I'm attending the sessions that are Eastern Time, 8 a.m. until 1-ish p.m., and then there's a late team that is handling the sessions that are starting after that, going into the evening. And it's pretty cool. There's some good companies there. I definitely recommend watching. Before we talk about this, let me just check in with you. How you doing? How's it going? It's Wednesday. Wednesday's a good day. It means if you're watching this, you're already halfway through your week. So well done. Good job. You're that much closer to the end of the year, which is also nice. And if you want to waste some time, go watch some Tech Field Day videos. They're awesome. You know, as a delegate, I get to, pick the brain of the presenter on your behalf, and I'll be doing that again tomorrow. So that's exciting. But first, let's talk about Commvault and what they presented. What did they talk about today? Well, there were a few different things that jumped out to me. And the first one I want to hit is that Commvault is serious about adopting cloud. But I'm kind of getting some conflicting messages here. So the early part of the presentation really focused on their new Commvault Command Center. This is their new UI and the technologies they've built into this thing, the capability to not just protect your data through backup and recovery, but also protect your data through replication. And so they showed how they can replicate data from VMware to AWS, from VMware to Azure, from AWS to Azure, from AWS back down to VMware. Like, you can basically replicate it any way you want. And because they're doing that through their own logging solution that's basically taking the tracking logs from what happens on the VM and then shipping them off and doing more almost asynchronous replication. It's asynchronous, but it's pretty close. Or they can do basically change block tracking, more traditional replication. It's not even replication. I guess it's kind of replication. That's a little laggier because it has to take a snapshot, so it's more of a point in time. But they showed that, and that was interesting. And they also showed how you can restore a virtual machine running in any of those environments to another environment. That's pretty cool. But it's all very reliant on the old school Commvault. It's not called Simpana anymore, but what used to be called Simpana, I think it's now just called Commvault. It's reliant on that older technology. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you already have a full-blown Commvault installation, you might be aware of this stuff, or this will give you a reason to upgrade. So that's who they're talking to with this first message. They're talking to you, the person who's already a Commvault customer. You already have this thing deployed. Or you're thinking about replacing your backup solution and they're trying to entice you with all these additional features. What I'll say is, switching your backup products is extremely difficult. I have done it for clients before, and there's a lot of minutia that you get into about how you had it set up on one platform and what you have to do to set it up on the other platform. And usually the hardware requirements and the setup requirements are pretty onerous for all of the backup solutions. The ones that I really like are the sort of appliance-based ones, something like Rubrik, where you just throw a box in there. You don't have to buy all this additional storage. You don't have to install all these media agents and stuff. You just install it and go. And that's literally how easy it is. So that first part of the presentation, that was for the dyed-in-the-wool Commvault people already running Commvault, and they want to keep running Commvault for the rest of time. Here's a new central command console. It's modernized. It doesn't look like it was designed by a telco in the 1980s. That's good. That's good progress. But it's not exciting, right? And that's when they got into the next portion of the presentation, which was Metallic. That's their new shiny system. And it doesn't really seem like the old Commvault backup software and the new Metallic offering really have all that much in common with each other. Metallic is backup as a service. It's a SaaS product. You don't buy the solution and install it on-prem on a whole bunch of hardware. You instead run it as a service out of the cloud. You can use local storage as a target. You can also use cloud storage as a target, or you can use their storage as a service option as a target as well. So you have multiple different options. If you go with their storage as a service target, then they manage the storage backend for you. And it's actually using Microsoft Azure under the covers, but you don't need to know that. And if they ever switch to a different platform, you still don't need to know that because they're managing the storage for you. Or you can kind of bring your own storage. It depends on how you want to pay for things. But the idea is it's backup as a service, which means you don't have the heavy lift that you might have previously had with other backup products where you have to deploy all this infrastructure. It also means they can iterate faster because software upgrades happen at their pace, not at yours. And it's a forward-looking product. So whereas Commvault was mostly talking about virtual machines and physical machines. Okay, you can do that. Yay. What this new Metallic product focused on was the fact that it can do object-based storage. It can do Kubernetes. It can do traditional virtual machines, and it can also back up other SaaS products, specifically Office 365, which is now renamed Microsoft 365. So Metallic's really the forward-looking aspect of the two. And if I were shopping for a new backup solution, that's the one that I would look at, because I don't want to run all this heavyweight stuff on premises. I want something that's a cloud solution that's going to be patched and managed for me. I want a SaaS product that does my backup. And there's other players in the sphere, and it'd be uncouth to mention all of them right now, but there are other players in the sphere that are doing similar things with a similar goal. Now, getting into the Kubernetes thing, and this is probably my third and major point, they started going down the Kubernetes rabbit hole of how Metallic can back up and protect data that's stored by Kubernetes. And what I did was raise the point. When you have an application that's running in a cloud native way, let's say it's using Kubernetes, it's probably not only using Kubernetes. It's probably using other things. So I might have a single application that is using an object-based storage backend for object-based type stuff, something that fits well into that component. I could be using Azure File Storage if you're using AKS, because that's an option. It could be using persistent volumes. It could also be using a backend database that's not in Kubernetes. So now I have an application that's not just running in Kubernetes, or that's not where all the data is. The data is spanning across multiple different locations. Can their backup solution back up all of those things as one cohesive unit? And the answer was no, but we'd like to. Like, it was obvious they're working on the Kubernetes component of it right now. That's the thing that's most important to them, is figuring out the Kubernetes piece, being able to back up all the different things that go into Kubernetes, which is stuff like the config maps, the secrets, the manifest that defines your pods and your deployments, all of those things, and the persistent volumes that lay underneath, and being able to take a snapshot through the CSI and make sure that's consistent across all the components of your deployment. That's what they're focused on right now. And they're doing that through labels, basically. So you can label things, and then you can filter on those labels, and then you can use that to define an application in Kubernetes that you want to take a snapshot of, a point-in-time snapshot altogether now. So that's what they're going for. But if you have these other components, what I'd really like to see, and what I would push them on, is have a way to define an application that is more than just Kubernetes. So you can say, my application is made up of this set of labels in Kubernetes, this backend database over here, and this object store over here. And so I want you to get an application consistent snapshot of this environment so that I can always either roll back to it if something happens, or I can restore it to a development environment if I need to debug it. Because for me, those are like the two main reasons why you want to do this sort of thing. Otherwise, if it's really all defined in Kubernetes, all you have to do is redeploy your application from the manifest that you have, and you're back to where you were, except for the missing data, which you could back up another way. So, like, I see where they're going. it's very interesting, and Metallic's definitely what I would keep my focus on for the time being. So just to go back over the three main points that I saw in the presentation. Number one, Commvault is serious about adopting cloud with their traditional product, and that's awesome, but it's still very on-prem based. Number two, Metallic is their new service, and that is embracing the SaaS side of things. So if that's of interest to you, backup as a service, Metallic's the thing you want to focus on. And third, Kubernetes is still an emerging and evolving category for data protection, pretty much for all of the vendors right now, and that was evident within the context of this presentation. So like I said, the link is down below to check out Tech Field Day. I don't think the video for Commvault is up right now, but once it becomes available, I'll also add the link for the full presentations down in the description as well. That'll do it for me today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back with another Tech Field Day briefing because we've got a couple more vendors lined up for tomorrow and then one on Friday. It's going to be a good time. Be sure to tune in. And until then, stay healthy, stay safe out there. Bye for now.